Let's talk about the secret unwritten rules for white women and their friend groups. And I learned all of this the hard way, but I've learned so much. I'm an anthropologist at this point. So the number one thing that you need to understand about white women is that shame is their biggest motivator and their weapon of choice. So the only thing that motivates them to do anything with their kids, with their husband, with their body, with their life is shame. They don't want to be shamed for anything ever. They will go to some crazy lengths to avoid shame of any kind from anyone. They're also constantly weaponizing shame and hurting each other with the use of shame, but they think that they're helping you. They genuinely think when they bring up something that they feel like you need to know in order to avoid shame, they think that they're helping you avoid shame. Amongst white women, conflict should be avoided at all costs. They are so deeply avoidant. They will avoid anything. They avoid and avoid and avoid so much that everything is simmering underneath the surface. And it simmers so much that sometimes you do get a big explosion or a blow up. It's unusual, but you do get that. But after that, you don't get any accountability or vulnerability or apology. You just go directly back into the cycle of avoidance. There's no conflict resolution because there is no conflict because everything is good. You want to surround yourself with people that bring you joy. If someone brings drama, they are ostracized and avoided. However, if someone says out loud that they don't like drama, they absolutely love drama and are constantly pulling strings behind the scenes so that they can observe drama that they're not involved in. Within a friend group, there's always a problematic friend, someone that the whole group has decided is a problem. However, any discussion about that problematic friend is private. You might think, oh, the tension's building, a lot of people are talking, a lot of real problems are coming to the surface. I should speak up for myself, and when I do, I'm speaking for the group. No, you are not. They will complain and complain and complain and let the problems build and build and build for a lifetime. They will never, ever back someone up who engages in conflict. Because once you open the door to conflict, you open the door to vulnerability, which opens the door to shame, and that's to be avoided. Another tactic you'll see a lot in these white women friend groups is isolation. People love one-on-one conversation because everything is a secret. Everything is a secret. They want the communication they have with you to be different than the communication they have with the next person. And it could be because they're telling stories slightly differently, but mostly it's because all of their feelings are kept so deeply inside. Maybe they need a conversation with you to leak out a little tiny bit of their truth, but they don't ever want to deal with their truth or have their truth reflected back on them. Most empathy is performative because there's no authentic true loyalty. There's no authentic truth. There's no conflict. There's no conflict resolution. So any empathy they can give you is just an ear. It's just someone who is listening. That's all. There's no validation because when the person who's listening hears that someone has a problem or a feeling, feelings are bad, feelings should be avoided, that is very scary to them. That is vulnerable to them. Vulnerability is the antidote to shame. And if they have built up walls to avoid shame, they're not going to engage in vulnerability at all. So even if they look like they're listening, and even if it feels like they're validating, and even if you're hoping that their empathy is authentic, it's not. Now, if you play by these rules, you will be rewarded by companionship or the appearance of companionship, a group, being a member of the group, being included. If you do not play by these rules, you will not face conflict. You will face the silent treatment. The silent treatment is used by white women to teach you a lesson. They don't care what you're going through. They don't care what they did to you to cause you to become upset or to have feelings or to create drama. Their only recourse is the silent treatment because within the silent treatment, they can avoid and you can learn your lesson. They will always come back around after they issue you the silent treatment. I had to learn the hard way after many bouts of being issued the silent treatment that these friend groups were not the place for me. Do not ever allow yourself to be handed the silent treatment during a time of peril, during a time when you are begging for resolution, and then allow them to come back around.
I got some white people tea, y'all. This ain't our type of tea. This is like white cranberry juice. Just watch.
He's in the same room.
Where's Peyton?
Peyton's right here.
You want me to talk about it? I will. Do you remember when you got wasted at Pioneers when you were an intern and told me like everything? You were
I think we're talking about two different rumors.
I don't think so, because I think we are talking about the same one and we're not allowed to say the name because it's so damaging. But you told me that he was DMing you at the Super Bowl when you were still in college.
He was.
Okay.
But I didn't. But that's not the rumor that we're talking about. The rumor is that I had sex with this person and I didn't.
You also were like, you were engaging in it. So it's like, this isn't that crazy. Like, I don't know why you're like so double
It is
down on
crazy,
Sam
that's not
Goldfinger.
true.
Because I'm sure you're telling Sam
I
Goldfinger. You're always
DM'd this
running your
person
fucking
back.
mouth.
I DM'd this person back and I said,
And you also
don't
like
you have
there's
a
so
wife
many
and
fucking
kids?
people that like I know that you have hooked up with, and like you've told me that night, and
There's
it's just like
so many people.
well, the one of probably how you got the job in the first place. Yes.
How I got the job in the first place.
You fucking somebody. You want me to say it? At the Super Bowl. When you were still in college. Don't really want to air your shit out, but it's like, oh my god, you just say shit, and then you forget about it. You told me when you, and even you told me.
I didn't get
you
the
came
job
up to
from
me.
talking to
You came up to me at the before you went on the intern interview with Tommy. You said, "Look at this crazy DM that Tommy sent me." You
I didn't
deleted
say,
it.
"Look at this
Yes, you did. You said
That was
this
all
would be
prank,
crazy,
and then I admitted to it after.
No, but you literally like what you lied when you were talking to me about it. Like you were like. The intern, you were coming to me for advice, saying, "Should I bring this up?" And I'm like, "That's crazy. He did that." So I thought you
He
actually
said hello.
did it.
I never said it was crazy.
Also, it wouldn't be crazy if I said hello.
No, it wouldn't, but it's just like the lie.
Well, no, I
you were
did.
just
I was
lying all the
responding.
fucking
Thank God.
time, and now it's just
I
like
don't lie.
you have Kelly Keegs like just fucking beating on your back, and you're throwing Annika and all them. Like
I'm
you
not
do
throwing
shit.
anyone.
You do shit. Then you also like this is the rumor I heard. You told Sam not to fucking talk to Hannah Montoya and all them because you probably
course I
felt
didn't say
threatened
that.
by Hannah and Annika.
Don't be so stupid.
Why?
I didn't say don't talk to Hannah Montoya.
I never said don't
all over
talk
his
to
ass
him.
the second they start dating. You know that's fact.
Whatever. Like you guys,
Don't
like you guys
love
need.
Hannah.
the
Don't act like you
producers
love
to get
Hannah. Okay. We're serious.
I do like Hannah.
Do you?
Yeah.
Are you
A
sure?
lot more than fucking you guys.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sure. Fuck. Don't be a bitch, baby.
I really don't care about what they was talking about. Who got a family that was DMing her? That's what we want to know. Who has the family, Craig? Y'all get in the comments.
At first she denied it, and then finally she looked at me and she said, "You cannot tell anyone about this until after I die." She used to wear a light foundation before she went to bed. She put on makeup. So I asked her one time why she did it. And she said, "Gail, you never know when you'll get sick in the middle of the night and you'll have to call an ambulance. And when they take you to the hospital, you want to look your best because you get better treatment." He had no photographs. She didn't know when he was born. She didn't know when he died. She wasn't raised by him. I was in total shock, left that center quite quickly, sat in my car and looked at myself in my rearview mirror and said, "Who are you?" At first, she denied it. She said, "I don't know what birth certificate you have, but mine says I'm white." So I said, "I'm more than happy to go get all these documents and show them to you." At that point, she got very quiet. Looks like she was shrinking in this big chair she was sitting in. And then finally, she looked at me and she said, "You cannot tell anyone about this." You know, in the South, some people passing were murdered. So we're talking serious stuff here. People were lynched, people were shot. You know, these were different times. So I think that's where her fear came from. We decided to have the reunion in New Orleans, of course. When I walked into that room, I was blown away by the warmth of my new family. All my aunts and uncles that I knew from my father's side were dead. My parents were dead. And suddenly I had a new family. And I just kept looking at them and I could see my mother because they looked so much like her. It was like she was there with us. I no longer think of myself as a white woman. I think of myself as a mixed race woman. And sure, I don't look it, but my DNA says otherwise.
Hi guys, how are you doing today? I hope you guys are doing very well. Welcome back to my channel, and here today I would like to tell you about a lot of secret that these white folks have been saying publicly all over the internet. Yes, I'm really surprised to see white people coming all over the internet to pop out their secrets publicly. And guys, guess what? Wow, it will be really interesting for you guys to watch this and see how it goes. Welcome back to my channel. This video reflects my personal decisions and opinion. If today is not for it's for educational purpose only, it's not meant to harass any individual. Without being said much, let's dive into some videos I have for us to watch, and we'll be back with commentaries. Thank you guys. Stay tuned.
History 101. They used to use urine to tan animal skins, so families used to all pee in a pot, and then once a day it was taken and sold to the tannery. If you had to do this to survive, you were piss poor. But worse than that were the really poor folk who couldn't even afford to buy a pot. They didn't have a pot to piss in and were the lowest of the low. The next time you are washing your hands and complain because the water temperature isn't just how you like it, think about how things used to be. Here are some facts about the 1500s. Most people got married in June because they took their yearly bath in May, and they still smelled pretty good by June. Since they were starting to smell, however, brides carried a bouquet of flowers to hide the body odor, hence the custom today of carrying a bouquet when getting married. Baths consisted of a big tub filled with hot water. The man of the house had the privilege of the nice clean water, then all the other sons and men, then the women, and finally the children. Last of all, the babies. By then the water was so dirty you could actually lose someone in it. Hence the saying, don't throw the baby out with the bath water. Houses had thatched roofs, thick straw piled high, with no wood underneath. It was the only place for animals to get warm, so all the cats and other small animals, mice, bugs, lived in the roof. When it rained, it became slippery, and sometimes the animals would slip and fall off the roof, resulting in the idiom, "It's raining cats and dogs." There was nothing to stop things from falling into the house. This posed a real problem in the bedroom, where bugs and other droppings could mess up your nice clean bed. Therefore, a bed with big posts and a sheet hung over the top afforded some protection. That's how canopy beds came into existence. The floor was dirt. Only the wealthy had something other than dirt, leading folks to coin the phrase, dirt poor. The wealthy had slate floors that would get slippery in the winter when wet, so they spread thresh, straw on floor to help keep their footing. As the winter wore on, they added more thresh until, when you opened the door, it would all start slipping outside. A piece of wood was placed in the entranceway, subsequently creating a threshold. In those old days, they cooked in the kitchen with a big kettle that always hung over the fire. Every day, they lit the fire and added things to the pot. They ate mostly vegetables and did not get much meat. They would eat the stew for dinner, leaving leftovers in the pot to get cold overnight, and then start over the next day. Sometimes stew had food in it that had been there for quite a while, and thus the rhyme, peas porridge hot, peas porridge cold, peas porridge in the pot 9 days old. Sometimes they could obtain pork, which made them feel quite special. When visitors came over, they would hang up their bacon to show off. It was a sign of wealth that a man could bring home the bacon. They would cut off a little to share with guests and would all sit around and chew the fat. Those with money had plates made of pewter. Food with high acid content caused some of the lead to leach onto the food, causing lead poisoning death. This happened most often with tomatoes, so for the next 400 years or so, tomatoes were considered poisonous. Bread was divided according to status. Workers got the burnt bottom of the loaf, the family got the middle, and guests got the top, or the upper crust. Lead cups were used to drink ale or whiskey. The combination would sometimes knock the imbibers out for a couple of days. Someone walking along the road would take them for dead and prepare them for burial. They were laid out on the kitchen table for a couple of days, and the family would gather around and eat and drink and wait and see if they would wake up, creating the custom of holding a wake. England is old and small, and the local folks started running out of places to bury people. So they would dig up coffins and would take the bones to a bone house and reuse the grave. When reopening these coffins, 1 out of 25 coffins were found to have scratch marks on the inside, and they realized they had been burying people alive, so they would tie a string on the wrist of the corpse, lead it through the coffin and up through the ground and tie it to a bell. Someone would have to sit out in the graveyard all night, the graveyard shift, to listen for the bell. Thus, someone could be saved by the bell or was considered a dead ringer. And that's the truth.
Wow, this y'all legacy? I know y'all happy. I know y'all happy the Moors found white people, right? Because this yearly baths, this is y'all this in the war is y'all history. This is crazy. Oh my God, yearly baths? Ooh, is that why some of y'all still don't wash y'all legs and use washcloths? Ooh, y'all nasty. Talk to me. Look, only like 20% of the people that watch my videos are actually following me. Come on, man. Rest of y'all just in here mooching. I thought we was better than that. Listen to me. Follow me so you could be a good person.
You know that stereotype that's like white people are dirty, they don't bathe their kids, they wear shoes in their house?
Yes, and to everything this creator said, I never thought about cleanliness as a class thing, but it makes complete sense because, you know, if you had so many enslaved folks working for you, of course you weren't going to clean anything. I think also if you take it back a few hundred years before then even, white people have learned that their dirtiness is a weapon. And I say that because it always was interesting to me that Columbus could just come here and, you know, anytime these colonial powers wanted to create a settlement, they would just send a handful of people, what I would call, like, yes, they were 400 to 500 people, but they're still a handful compared to millions of people that were already on the Turtle Islands. And it just didn't, like, click to me how you could have, like, a handful of people kind of go up against millions of people who were also technically advanced and had their own ways of doing things, how they could just kind of wipe them all out. Like, I also just refuse to give Europeans the benefit of the doubt or the benefit of like what has been ingrained to us, that they were superior and they had superior technology and all these things. Like, no, they fucking did not. I don't think so. And, you know, it kind of became like I was going down this rabbit hole during COVID, and it's like smallpox. That was their weapon of mass destruction, if you will, with that they didn't know about, and then they eventually did find out. You know, it didn't come to the shore until 15 years after Columbus, but once it came, it eradicated millions and millions and millions of people, hence making it easier for people to settle. And I think Europeans learned from that. I mean, prior to them colonizing Turtle Island and Africa and Asia and Australia, like literally the whole fucking world, the greed
But prior to that, they hadn't been showering. They didn't have good hygiene. Like, I think, I don't know who it was or where I was reading it, or a tweet, you know, how we get information, but it's essentially like they would shower like the kings and queens would shower or would be bathed once a year, which is wild to me. And also, you know, like now that you look at it from the culture of spa and everything, like when you go to Middle East, when you go to Africa, when you go to Asia, like when you go to places here, like every single place has some kind of ceremony or things around how they were bathing, how they were taking care of their body. You know, there's hammams, there's baths, there's pools. And not to say Europeans didn't have pools, but they definitely didn't the way we did, right? But fast forward to why I'm saying they use it or wield it as a weapon is because if you learn that something that you had, and you know, you weren't washing your hands, native populations were washing their hands and were like cleaning their bodies, but you for hundreds of years before were not doing this, why would you think that cleanliness is good if that is what has led you to conquering this continent, and it enabled you to genocide them easier than your weapons? And then again, you know, fast forwarded to COVID, and you know, and I think Crutches and Spice, really, really good creator, talks about COVID and its impact on society. And I think one of the things that also was interesting in the beginning in 2020, one of the first things to get sold out was toilet paper and not soap. Washing hands is the way that we can safeguard ourselves from so many things. It's always been a thing that we, again, people of the global majority have done. Not white people though. And I think that's yes, class is a thing, but I think white people have learned that their dirtiness and their unhygienic things is a weapon, and they may not be instilling that into their kids that way, but that is definitely one of the reasons why it has been passed down. Like, I had a coworker on a call on a baby shower with like 60 other people on it, and she, you know, she's telling my coworker how, you know, just like learn and you're gonna grow from this. And she's like, yeah, you know, let's call my coworker like Samantha. Like, Samantha, you're gonna learn so many things, and you're gonna just be so forgiving to things. Like, my twins, they just turned 11, you know, I thought urine was sterile, so it didn't matter where they peed, I just didn't clean them. And then she proceeds to say, and they just turned 11 and they're doing fine. What? And I had to just like drop from the call, because I was like, this can't be it. I'm not listening to this. This is bad shit. And other people and other parents on the call were like, oh yeah, haha, that's so funny, Susan, that is hilarious. No, that's dirty as fuck. What do you mean you thought urine was sterile? When we were potty training my child, one of the most like famous books and like the highly rated books talks about like how this guy used to be in the circus or something, and this person that he was training with had beautiful skin, and he asked her why and how and what she was doing to get this beautiful skin, and her answer was like, she just sits in her own urine. This book was recommended to us by my husband's boss, who was white, and the second again we read that passage, and I think it was in the preface or something, toss that book out. You have nothing to teach me. And also, how is it that that's something in the paragraph and everyone's just okay with it? It's because white people use their dirtiness as a weapon, I believe. But also, prove me wrong.
I'm gonna let you guys in on a little secret about white people. Every single white person knows somebody who is racist. Racist towards black people, racist towards Spanish people. We all know somebody. It might be our family member, it might be a distant relative, it might be a coworker, it might be an old friend, but we all know somebody. Personally, I come from a whole family of racist people. Yeah, my entire family is Republican too, okay? My dad's parents are racist, and my mom's parents are racist, okay? So I'm literally going against everything by talking about this. I am putting my own life on the line by speaking about this, and that's what we all should be doing. See, we could have ended this a long time ago, but people like my mom listened to these racist comments that their parents were making and didn't speak out against it. They kept their mouths shut, or they agreed with them silently, but they didn't do anything about it. They continued to let this be passed on generation after generation. Oh, my mom never told me or taught me any racist ideologies. She continued to let it happen because she didn't speak out against it when her parents were talking about it, or my dad's parents were talking. So if you are against racism and you are against discrimination and you're a white person, you need to speak out about it. Otherwise, you are allowing this to continue generation after generation, and you are just as much a part of the problem as anybody else.
Hi guys, welcome back. Yes, y'all are welcome back to my channel. I believe we've learned a lot from the videos I just rolled up. And to talk about this white people's secrets that have been coming out publicly. Okay, to my own perspective, I would say I feel most white people are agents of internal congruence. Yes, these white folks, most of them, they possess internal congruence. And internal congruence is defined as a state whereby an individual's inner thoughts, feeling, or mindset aligns with their outward behavior. Yes, because the things they feel inside of them, that's their inner thoughts, their inner mindset. Guys, sometimes I thought to myself how these white people live with each other, because to me, though, it's very hard to live with a white person. Yes, I can say that because anytime you passed by a white person, most of them, there's this odor you perceive. Sorry to use the word though, but sometimes I feel that when they're taking their baths, do they use the soaps they're supposed to use, the body lotions? Do they even have roll-on? Do they have good perfumes to keep themselves smell nice? Because you can walk past a white person and the smell can just toxicate everywhere. It has really happened a lot of times. Not just that, we can see from the video I just wrote up where the woman, Lady Gay, she told her the secret of her mom, how her mom was mixed, that's African and American, but all this while she pretended to be a white, because there was a lot of killings and enslaving and torture of black people as a then. So that is why she decided to use the idea of being a white and not even coming up with her true nature of her being mixed. She told her daughter not to tell anybody about the secret, because her daughter keeps surprising why she always go to bed with makeup. And there's one thing about these white people I I tend to understand, most especially white women. They feel like they are not contented with themselves or with their beauty. They feel so ashamed of themselves because they can just see a black woman that looks very beautiful and they'll try their best to do anything possible to be very beautiful or as beautiful as that person or even more than the person. They are not happy with their internal attitude, and they are not even happy with themselves. They are not happy the way they look, and that's very bad because you're supposed to be satisfied and happy with yourself. I mean, if there's a bad character you possess, that's what you're not supposed to be happy about. But how you look like, you're not God. God created you, so you just have to be happy with yourself. That is why most white women, they go to bed with makeups and all of that. Well, welcome to the end of this video. I want you to kindly like, share, and subscribe, and drop your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget, this video is for educational purpose only. It's not meant to harass any individual. Stay tuned and watch out for my next video, guys. Thank you. Bye.